Last week I rewatched the Full Swing documentary. Brilliant watch, of course, and the one specifically with the Ryder Cup in. And there's a great kind of segment of it where you're with your family, waiting for a phone call from Luke Donald for your captain's pick. How do you reflect on that, and also how nice has it been this time round that your golf has been at the level where you've not had to rely on a captain's pick? You don't have the nerves of waiting for a phone call.
Yeah, that was obviously that was nerve-wracking. I felt like in 2020, yeah, I was waiting for that call and it sort of never came. So I was coming into 2023. It was the first time I'd ever actually been picked to play in the Ryder Cup. All the other Ryder Cups I've played, I'd qualified, automatically. So it was a nerve-wracking experience. And although I felt hopeful I was going to get the call, until that phone call comes, you're like, oh, what? Obviously, yeah. Even Porter called me and let me know the bad news, and obviously the phone rang from Luke, and I was like, okay, is it good news? Is it bad news? So I was hopeful for good news, but you never know. And it was a relief as well, again. But then as soon as I had the call, I was like, okay, game face on. Like, it was about three and a half weeks, I think, before the Ryder Cup itself. And from that point on, I was like, okay, well, now I have a big responsibility, and I still have a big responsibility. But I think sometimes as a pick, you have a little bit more responsibility.
Looking ahead to this one now, not long to go. How did Team Europe go about trying to win an away Ryder Cup in New York?
Yeah, so I think that's the big challenge, isn't it? Is obviously we've seen Ryder Cups very much in the last kind of 20 years, I'd say, go with home course advantage, with the exception of Medina, where, to be honest, Europe was getting hammered for a couple of days, and we had this incredible comeback on Sunday. So it is the big question that we are hopefully going to answer. And I think to do it, you need to be united. We're going to face a lot of disruption and challenge on the golf course, and an adverse crowd and all these things. But I think if we stay united in our response to that, and keep trying to find the level that we've all found all season long, I think the team itself is in great shape. So it's about not letting the environment affect us. But that's easier said than done, and that's going to be the challenge for us. But we're up for it. And I think if we can just see it as none of us, even the Americans, won't have played in that environment before. Obviously, it'll be more pro for them, but at the same time, it's going to be different. So if we can just deal with it really, really well, I think we've got an awesome chance to win.
You mentioned the Medina back in 2012, one of the greatest comebacks, from a Team Europe point of view. You played in that one. What was it like to play in and to achieve that? And can you draw on the feelings and experiences you gained from that?
Yeah, I think, listen, Medina is going to be the one Ryder Cup that probably is going to be the most similar feeling to what we might expect in Bethpage. The crowd in Chicago were tough. They were a rough and tough crowd, but for the most part, the Americans had the upper hand all week. But as soon as we were able to kind of flip the script and turn the tide, I felt like the crowd did change. They did get quiet. They didn't like it, and that's going to be our goal, is to try to sort of pacify the crowd. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think we should try to expect to pacify the crowd. I don't think that's going to necessarily be possible. We're just going to have to be very resilient as a team. But yeah, Medina, I think, just proves it's possible.
You look at the team compared to the last Ryder Cup, and there was a lot of kind of unknowns of some people coming in that, are they going to be up to the level? And those names are now much more established. You look at, Ludwig Oberg, Bob McIntyre, just a couple to mention.
Yeah.
Now there's, you've got so many more established names going into this. You look at the Team Europe and you're like, everyone there's, had a really solid year. How do you kind of, do you feel that benefits you going into it, that you're so much more established and prepared as a group?
Yeah, I think if we were kind of coming into a home Ryder Cup, I'd be quite comfortable with a few rookies and the next generation coming through, which is kind of what we had in Rome. Because it's definitely more of an uplifting experience. Still tons of pressure, don't get me wrong. So, but going into an away Ryder Cup, I'm really happy that the boys have at least experienced a Ryder Cup. They know what to expect in terms of the rhythm and the flow of the week and all the things and the emotion. But, I think anyone who hasn't played an away Ryder Cup is in for an experience that's going to feel like their first. So I think that, but that's not a bad thing either, because, you can be inspired by that too. So you don't have to always know what to expect in order to kind of be able to deal with it. And that's why these lads are on the team. They're masters at dealing with environments, and being able to overcome things. So great players. Yeah, I think Bob McIntyre has really gone from strength to strength in the last couple of years. Ludwig was destined to be a superstar. He looks like he is. And obviously, yeah, we've lost Nikolai Højgaard, but we've gained Rasmus. Rasmus was in Rome with us, riding the buggy, being part of the team in the inner sanctum. So hopefully, he's like a half rookie, I feel like he's a great sub in for this time around, and I'm feeling really comfortable with the team. Yeah, absolutely. I'm delighted.
Would a away Ryder Cup win be sweeter than a home one? Dare I say it?
A home Ryder Cup would be way sweeter than a home one for sure. I think all the lads realise that. Rory put that peg in the ground a while back, saying it's probably one of the biggest achievements in the golfing in sport in golf at the moment. So that's what we're gunning for.
Luke Donald said going into his wildcard presser, he's been doing things a little bit differently this time. I'm sure you won't want to reveal all the secrets, but can you take us a little bit into the kind of mindset of the group in terms of maybe what is going a little bit differently?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really felt like anything's been going differently, and that's probably the genius of what Luke's been doing, because I feel like the messaging has been very consistent. I think he has a plan. He understands what we're trying to achieve, how difficult that's going to be, and he's not adding to the noise. There's going to be a ton of noise on the golf course, ton of distraction, ton of challenge for us. But Luke's doing his best to kind of field a lot of that himself and kind of keep it as simple as possible for us, which is great. Great man management, really. So that's been his skill.
You've got a heavy presence with Hampshire Golf. What significance did Hampshire Golf have on you as a young pro, and why do you want to kind of why are you so still in touch with the guys? Achieving winning across all levels.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Hampshire Golf, obviously, I was involved in their county setup as a very, very young kid from a coaching point of view. And, my dad essentially coached me till I turned pro, but he was a 7 handicap. So to have the opportunity to have professional coaches kind of just make sure that everything was on track through my development was, I was grateful for that always. And we had a lot of fun traveling around, playing tournaments, representing Hampshire. Just such a great way to start my development journey, and it's great to see all the next generation of players coming through. Obviously, it's nice to always keep an eye out for Hampshire lads on tour. Richard Bland, even who's older than me, but doing so well on live and having a bit of a resurgence in his career in the late stages. Our bond comes through Hampshire, as it does with a lot of the other players. So always keeping an eye out for the boys. Yeah.
And Brandon Robinson-Thompson this week, he said he pulled you for a little chat at the range. Someone on the DP World Tour from the Isle of Wight. The influence of Hampshire and the South Coast is everywhere, really.
100%. Yeah, I've been following his career. Like he's he's obviously come also in kind of found form later in his career. But yeah, he looks like a very sort of athletic player and kind of a flamboyant player. And obviously, yeah, cool to have a chat with him. Like I said, I've seen his name. I've met him before, but obviously I've been following his journey as well. But it was good to catch up with him too.